Welcome back to Uniquely Wired Podcast. I'm Nani, your host. I'm so happy that you are here joining us. We have an amazing guest. I love her so much. We have become sisters online. I'm so grateful for that. And also, I was able to meet her in person through the Moments of Joy Fest that she had this year, which was amazing. And you cannot miss next year, but we'll talk more about that. Right now, I'm just going to introduce to you Miss Camille Joy.
Thank
Also, just so you guys
you.
know, this episode is going to be on prioritizing your mental health and your well-being. So that's going to be our conversation today, just so you know. So go ahead, Camille, introduce yourself.
Yes, hey Nani. I'm so excited to be here on your podcast. I don't take it lightly, so it's an honor to be on your show. My name is Camille Joy, and I like to say I am a community builder and a connector of people, and an encourager for the family raising a child with special needs.
Yes, I love it and everything that you do. And I know that people that are listening right now or watching on YouTube, I know they know you as, Mental Health Monday. We got to
Yes.
prioritize our mental health. So I love that, you're bringing that to the community because who else is going to know how to take care of their mental health or really promote that than someone that is in the journey of special needs, raising our children and how much it takes from us. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to start off with a question, and that is, as an autism mom, what unique challenges have you faced when it comes to prioritizing your mental health and
Yeah.
well-being while caring for your own child?
hmm I think that one of the challenges that made me always focus and harp on my mental health is that I was literally standing at the line of losing it. Like I was so overwhelmed, and it was during the pandemic. We were home all the time. I wasn't prioritizing myself at all. I didn't even know how to prioritize myself. I was just getting through. Mason wasn't sleeping, who is my youngest son diagnosed with autism. And day after day, I think I got to like the fourth day of sleep deprivation and just him having meltdowns and just being so emotional that I finally was like, okay, wait a minute. Some things have to change here. Number one was I got a therapist. I was like, okay, I have to talk to someone because now I'm starting to have anxiety all the time, every day, and at the wind blowing. And going to a therapist gave me so much education on why it was necessary, because of the stress levels that we go through. um the chemical in our bodies, our hormones are actually that fight off stress are actually being worn down. And so if we do nothing to build that back up, that's why we have anxiety all the time. Or I was even diagnosed with PTSD. And I was like, wow. Yeah, first of all, having a child who needed open heart surgery 3 times, that's trauma. That's traumatic. I had
Yes.
a crazy emergency C-section. That's traumatic. It's not just the PTSD from the soldiers that before all I heard was like PTSD associated with people in the army. I didn't know anything more.
Right.
But
I've heard the same thing. Mhm.
yeah. And
Mhm.
so it was that hard time that made me say, okay, wait a minute. I have to do this all the time. And then also listening to, we met on Clubhouse, which was an audio app. We would meet and talk a lot of times with different moms, and
Yes.
listening to that, one thing that we all had in common, we were stressed out trying to figure out how to make this work. But then also there's a lot of exhaustion and tears and just, y'all know if you're listening, everything that comes along with it. And then how silly is it if you never on a consistent basis do anything for you, but on a consistent basis you continually do everything for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it
Yep.
like that, you understand a little better why it's a need.
And I think also, it's a very famous saying, and I'm sure you're very familiar with it. You can't pour from an empty cup.
That's right. That's
You just
right.
can't. And it's like you have to refresh, you have to recharge yourself in order to have that good energy and just be up to be, every day to take care of your child. A lot of the times mom struggles so much that they're so overwhelmed. They
Yeah,
start hitting their kids, they start, dismissing people, they become closed into themselves because they have not seek help. And if that's you and you need to seek help, seek help. Let this be your go-to, your motivation to say, you know what, I need to go seek a therapist, speak to someone that can encourage me, that can give me the right advice. So I think that's perfect.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Um, my next question for you, Camille, would be, parenting can be demanding. I mean, we know that. We have
Mhm.
our routines, we have our schedules, and parenting an autistic child or a special needs child, to put it in general for anybody listening, can bring additional stress, right? What strategies have you developed to manage stress and prevent burnout?
I think communication. So I'm not a single mom, I'm a married mom. Communication communication to my husband is a big one. To letting him know when I'm feeling like, okay, I need a minute, or I know you have to work a lot, but let's come back in, reel it back in here, because you got to take over. Because here it's really only me and him. Our family members are farther away, and so it goes back to prioritizing that time and that stress. I do a lot of prayer, just asking God for that supernatural strength that I can't pull from myself. Like there's some things I can do to align myself correctly and make sure I'm okay, but then there's nothing I could do, and I need the help of Jesus and some angels to assist me right now, Lord.
Talk about it. I'm always like, yes, go ahead and
Yeah.
preach. It's
Yes.
true, though. It's true. It's a
Hmm.
supernatural strength that only God can give us.
Yes. And so I ask for that and have no shame in really just asking, but um, be aware of your capacity. And if you know certain things overwhelm you, creating support around, like when Mason goes to the pediatrician or the heart doctor. I know those times can be very stressful. So I make sure I tell family members that I'm going, and they're like, all right, I'm gonna pray for you, or they pep talk me before, or my husband, or I may say, if I know I'm really not in the mood that day, I may say, take this day off because you have to come. I can't go alone. So, I really
That is
communicate
so
and
good.
pay attention to how I'm feeling.
So you pretty much are saying you're seeking that help when you need it.
Mhm.
Like it's okay
Absolutely.
to seek the help because I think as women in general, honestly, it's so hard for us to get off our comfort and say, you know what, I need help. Somebody
Yes,
come
it
and help me.
is. Oh, that's a big thing. It's so hard.
Yes, yeah, especially us women that are married. We're always like, oh, but you have your husband. People will tell us that, but you have your husband. And it's like,
Mhm. Right.
okay. But at the end of the day, we know they're working, they
Mhm.
have their stress.
Mhm.
To then add this on, you tend to close yourself on. And I know
Right.
that will be a different topic for another day. I
Mhm.
do have a marriage episode coming soon, that I'll be talking
I
to my
can't
husband
wait.
about it because I want to see what's his perspective on it, and I think it's so important because people always see in the women, the women, the women, the women,
Yeah.
but what is the man doing?
Yeah.
Right? So
Mhm.
it's good to work as a team. So that's awesome that you're asking for help. That's something that I'm still working on. My mom would notice that I'm like, okay, stressed or overwhelmed because I tend to be very strong and just like hold on to things. Like, no, I
Mm,
don't need help. I'm good. But
right.
reality is you need it.
You do need help, and it's okay. It doesn't mean like you're less of a mom or listen, we don't know what we're doing. It's okay to say, okay, I need help. I want to bring the kids somewhere and I want us to have a memory. Maybe your spouse it may be busy, or maybe you're a single mom. Ask someone to come with you who has a little bit of understanding or wants to help learn and or wants to learn, and then allow them to support you.
That is so good. That is so good. Cause yeah, I mean, you can talk about that because you were a single mom at some point.
Hmm. Hmm.
So you can give that advice to those moms. Like, what were
Yeah.
some things that you did then that maybe
Hmm.
now, they look different because you do have a partner? If you
Yeah.
wanted to share a
Oh
little bit of
yeah.
that.
I didn't have Mason as a single mom, but I had four children as a single mom. And one thing that was vital, which I wouldn't be where I am today, neither would my kids be, if it wasn't for community and my parents, my sisters, just really being supportive and being there, doing things as a family. But I had to tell them I needed them. And then my mom was the kind of mom who would gather us and say, we are all we got. If there was an argument I may have had with my sisters, it wasn't nightfall didn't come before one of us called each other to say, well, I didn't like when you said that. I didn't like when you said that, but it's over after that. We're not holding out weeks and days and months. My sisters are my best friends, but that was created in the lowest place when I left that abusive relationship and we came to my mom's house and we all were there together, just coming up, coming up out of our trauma, allowing God to heal us, building our relationship with Him, and then allowing Him to give us a new life. So I know I keep saying stuff about God, but really, above all that we could ever give you in these episodes, like He's the real key.
For real. We can talk about it. But I love that. I,
Yeah.
I really do. And having, because so many people have to heal from family hurt and all the things, that we don't talk much about, but it's needed. So that's beautiful that you were able to have that community. Um, so now we know stigma surrounding mental health. You can talk about this all the time. And it can affect parents as well. Have you encountered, I know you spoke a little bit about it, but have you encountered any challenges in seeking support for your own mental well-being? And
Hmm.
how did you overcome them?
I think sometimes we don't hear a lot about mental health, especially in the Black and Brown communities. We we don't hear about people going to therapy a lot, or we didn't pre-pandemic. Um, and so a lot of times we associate that with crazy or something's wrong, and it's not the reason that you solely the reason that you need to seek support. It could be because you need support or you need someone to teach you things. There are tools that I gained from therapy that I would not have known. I didn't know what chemically was going on inside my body, that the hormone for me that fights stress I had very little of. So that was why at the wind blowing, now I have anxiety. It wasn't because it was something really, you know, that I'm crazy. It's chemically an imbalance. And if we don't go to seek that professional help, then we won't know. And you'll be alone with your thoughts. When I went through postpartum with Mason, I didn't know that I was going through postpartum depression. And it was really because of lack of education. I was bonding with my baby. I didn't feel like I wanted to harm him. So I thought that was postpartum depression, and it wasn't. I didn't. I'm very extroverted now. I like my friends. I would like to have company if they were here and lived where I live. Like if you lived here, I'd have you over. but
And I'll be over
um
like literally all the time.
but I snapped after him, and I would not want anyone to come over. I would want to stay in my room. I physically felt cloudy all the time, and I was fighting through this. Also, Mason had two heart surgeries before he was 1 year old, and then another one after one. So all that time, it was just very heavy, and I was fighting through. And I didn't know until after he was 2 years old, when I started to feel normal again, that it was something going on. I was like, all this time I was going through postpartum depression, and I didn't know. I didn't know to talk to my doctor. I didn't know to say, I don't feel normal, but, and describe to her how I felt, because I told one person and they said, no, that's not postpartum, because you don't want to harm your baby, or you're not really depressed. And it was indeed postpartum depression. There are other symptoms.
Wow.
Hmm.
That's crazy. I think I can't see you. I could still hear you, but I can't see you. It might be your connection, but don't worry about
Oh,
it.
man.
Um
Okay.
you're okay.
I see.
This is the joys of technology. Um but
I
I can
know.
still hear you, sis, so no
Okay.
worry. That's crazy, that you had to have to encounter all of that to say, you know what, now it's time. When I would say, or I guess I would ask, when was that time? Because yes, you had Mason and you went through all of that. When did you actually decide to seek that therapy or to see that therapist?
Hmm. It happened about 2020. So after that first year of the pandemic, um, I had tried everything to help with anxiety. I tried everything there was. I didn't get on medication, but holistically, I tried everything, and nothing really worked. So I was like, okay, I have to go to a therapist. And also, I was crying a lot. Um, there was really no conversation that my husband could have with me that would bring me to like um a really better place. And Mason was having a lot more meltdowns. So that would last hours. And I was like, if I don't talk to somebody, I might end up losing my mind here. So on top of me having other children, teenagers that have other teenage things going on top of me being married and having married things going on. So I said, wait a minute, before I flip in this house and on everybody, I better get talk to somebody. And so my appointments were on Mondays. And so that's why I started doing mental health Mondays.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. That's what drew
Yeah.
you to do it.
Yeah. And it was the day that I intentionally said, I have to take care of my mental health on this day once a week. And it's okay that it's going to come around so fast, because every day of my life I'm pouring out to something, and including other people. Now I have this platform, I'm talking to you guys too, but if I don't take care of my mental health, there's going to be a problem. So that would include for me everything that brings me joy. I say no to things, which sometimes parents could have a hard time saying no, but if somebody needs a ride somewhere today, no. My oldest son just came to move to Houston. He's 22 now. He finished college. And I had to get him acclimated to my Mondays. I was like, no, it's Monday. I don't do anything on Mondays. I don't cook. I don't, we could do it tomorrow or set up any other day. But Monday, he's like, well, Mom, that'll be good for your mental health. No, it won't. I decide what's good for my mental
Right.
health. And then, and after a while, after a few weeks, my husband got right on board, and he started, he would bring home Chipotle or pizza or something, so that I didn't even have
Mm,
to cook on
yes.
Mondays. And my mental health Mondays usually include food, and that's okay, because I'm a foodie and that's what brings me joy. So it
Praise
also,
the Lord. Same.
yes, it also includes rest, because we're home with the kids on the weekend too. So maybe I may have had a heavy weekend, or a weekend where I'm traveling with my son for basketball and dealing with Mason at the same time. So it was a day to catch my breath. So Yeah.
I got that advice from you at some point. I know that,
Mhm.
well, you didn't really tell me, but I picked up on it when you were saying, I think one day I had texted you and it was like on silence. I was like, you know what? Maybe she just doesn't want to be bothered. And then I
Mhm.
picked up on it and I said, you know what? It is Monday. It is Mental Health Monday. She talks about
Right.
this. So
Yeah.
I'm learning, that while I'm home and the kids are in school, yes, I'm working and I'm busy, but I keep my phone on silent
Yeah.
and I'll get back to the text messages whenever I get a chance.
Mhm.
That could be later at night or before bed, and creating that routine because, you're doing so much. You're so busy doing whatever
Mhm.
you're doing throughout your day to then have to add texting back people,
Right.
it
Exactly.
low key becomes
Yeah.
a lot because it's like a priority of responsibility, you know?
Mhm. Yep. Yep.
So I think it's just amazing. This is a short episode, but so insightful at the same time because we're going straight to the point. In other
Yes.
words, if there's anything you get out of this episode is seek help.
Mhm.
Seek help.
Yeah.
I'm in the process, honestly, if I'm honest and I'm vulnerable for a second. Um, I've been trying to research some therapists that maybe my insurance can take and things like that. Someone to just really vent to, because we can talk to our friends, we can talk to people, but sometimes it's almost better to talk to someone that really doesn't know you.
That's right.
Right?
That's
Wouldn't
right.
you agree with
Yeah.
that? Like
I
you'll get better
absolutely do.
insight.
I absolutely do. I really, really do. And my therapist, she's a 60-something-year-old woman. So she was even able to help me to see the things that I thought were important that really weren't that serious, seeing it from her older point of view, that maybe I was harping on something that really didn't matter in my marriage or with the children or, being hard on myself about something. So I found the therapist on psychologytoday.com, and you can look at zip codes all over the United States and put in your insurance there, and it'll show you who covers your insurance, and you can pick.
Nice. Cuz I used to think that you had to pay for it like wherever you went, but then I heard that insurance does cover it. So that's good for those that
Yeah.
are listening that did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
Do your research and search up that website that Camille just shared. And it'll be on the description below, but I think that's so awesome, sis. I mean, I'm grateful that I met you. And honestly, seeing how open you are about mental health and how much you care about people's mental health, especially those of us that are raising special needs children, because it's just, we do have a little extra stress
Absolutely.
on our plate, So
Mm-hmm.
that's, thank you for sharing that.
You're
I'll
welcome.
definitely be looking. Trust and believe. Oh, by the way,
Mhm.
do they do online?
Yes. Hella appointments. Absolutely.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay.
So I
Listen,
sat just like this and had my therapy sessions every
nice.
Monday at
That's
noon.
awesome. That's good to
Mm-hmm.
know. So the
Yeah.
last question would be, what advice do you have for those autism parents that are struggling with prioritizing, sorry, their mental health and well-being? Like what's that one advice you will give them?
I would say please, 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 please start even this week taking a moment to prioritize yourself. It has nothing to do with money. I think sometimes people get that confused and they say, well, I don't have extra money. It has nothing to do with that. It can be in the house, it can be sitting on your bed in the morning where you intentionally breathe, spend a moment with yourself. Maybe a day you wake up earlier than the kids, just one day just to be with yourself, or if you're a night owl, you stay up late just to be with yourself. You can journal. You can buy affordable nail polish if that's your thing. Whatever it is that brings you joy, you intentionally do that on this one day a week, unapologetically. And then you crumble up that mom guilt that's fake anyway, and you throw it out the window, because mom guilt is most times based on a lie that we tell ourselves. Your children will be fine. It is not selfish to take care of yourself. and to prioritize yourself, it is a necessity, especially for the mom of the autistic child. Like you have to. It's just insane not to take care of yourself on a consistent basis. We have to. So I just beg of you to make that decision immediately and pick a day once a week, and then start telling your spouse, your family, your kids that this is the day, and they'll come on board, but you got to get on board for you first.
Mm, that was so good.
Thank you.
That was so good. I know something that I do if it helps anybody. Well, honestly, I've been slacking lately ever since the kids started back to school because honestly, my schedule has been all over. But it's doing that workout at least, twice a week. Or
Mhm.
even if it's that one day. My husband doesn't work on the weekends. I have an advantage that I am
Yeah.
able to wake up super early Saturdays and get my walk going, walk around the neighborhood. And that just helps me. Put some music on. Literally,
Hmm.
I'm just talking to God while I'm walking, just clearing my mind,
Yeah.
and I love that you said waking up a little extra early. I know it's a sacrifice, especially
Yeah.
if you've had a long night with your child, but if you can do that at least once a week, your body will become to get used to it,
Absolutely.
and it's going to long for it because we have to train our bodies. We just have to.
Mhm.
You
I'm
can
going
never
to
say
the
you
gym right
can't
now.
do it if you haven't tried it.
That's right. That's right.
So
Yeah.
I think that was great, sis. And I
Thank you
appreciate you
so
being
much.
here, giving us that insight on mental health and, just sharing your point of view in it. I think it's great. And I'm sure people that are listening just love you. And because I know I love you.
I love you too. I love
So
you.
you've just been such a blessing. And I just pray nothing but blessings over your life and your family. So thank you so much for being here and connecting with us and taking out of your time.
Thank you so much. It's an honor. And I'll do anything for you, sis. You know I got your back. So thank you.
Stop. We're not going to cry on this episode. Okay. I think we're done. I think we're done. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again on my next episode.